When the seeker awakens to I am, the journey doesn't end. It transforms. At first, awakening feels like finding God, a radiant realization that I am not this body, not this mind, but divine presence itself. Yet Joel Goldsmith revealed that this too is only the threshold, because the moment you say I am, there is still a whisper of I, a subtle echo of someone claiming divinity. And that echo is the final veil between consciousness and pure being. As long as there is an I who is aware of God, there are two. And where there are two, grace cannot fully flow. When this recognition deepens, something indescribable happens. The last boundary dissolves. Even the awareness of I am melts into a vast, wordless silence. Joel called this the utter stillness of the infinite. Not the silence of absence, but the silence so alive it sings through everything that exists. It is not reached through effort or meditation techniques. It arrives when the effort to reach anything ends. When prayer becomes listening instead of asking. When thought collapses into wonder. This is not something you do. It's what remains when the doer is gone. The ego cannot step into this silence because it was never real. The one who sought enlightenment was the dream itself. Joel once said, "When the last trace of personal self disappears, God does not appear, because God was never absent. The presence that spoke as Moses, that healed as Christ, that meditates as you right now, it has no beginning and no end. It is not in you, it is you." As this understanding ripens, a great peace fills your being. You no longer look for signs, proofs, or miracles, because existence itself is the miracle. The air that enters your lungs, the stillness between your heartbeats, the light that falls on a leaf, all of it is the same presence whispering I am. Yet even that whisper begins to fade. The words I am are only symbols, fingers pointing to infinity. And when you finally turn inward and see directly, you realize the presence was never two. There is no I am and God. There is only the one silence being all. This is the place where Joel Goldsmith stopped using words. He called it the word that is not spoken, because once you enter this awareness, language loses meaning. There is nothing to teach, nothing to seek, nothing to fix. The infinite has no goal. It simply is. In this silence, life becomes effortless. You don't try to love, love flows. You don't seek abundance, abundance expresses. You don't heal, wholeness reveals itself. Because there is no longer a you doing it. The waves of life are moved by the ocean itself. When people asked Joel how to hold on to this state, he would smile and say, "Who is there to hold on to it? The presence holds you." And that's the final surrender, realizing that grace was carrying you from the beginning. Every mistake, every fear, every search was grace guiding you home to the place that never moved. As silence deepens, you start to see the world differently, not as a field of forms, but as the motion of the one life playing as many. You see the divine in ordinary faces, in the sound of rain, in the space between words. The eyes of others become windows into the same presence, looking back at itself. You can no longer harm because there is no other to harm. You no longer judge because all judgment falls away in the radiance of truth. When you move from this state, everything becomes prayer, your breath, your speech, your very existence. This is what Joel meant by living the infinite way, not as a philosophy, but as life itself breathing through you. He taught that the greatest realization is not I am God, but that there is no I, only God is. When this understanding takes root, it changes the texture of your everyday life. Work no longer feels like labor because you realize you're not the worker. Speech becomes gentle because the presence is doing the talking. Even rest becomes holy because it's not your rest. It has the universe breathing through you. At this stage, you can even say, I am one with God, because oneness implies two that joined. Here, there has only ever been one. And so the final freedom is not in realizing that you are divine, but in forgetting you ever were anything else. The ego was a story told by silence, so that silence could remember itself through you. Now that story is complete. You are the page and the ink and the hand that wrote it. Joel once ended a lecture by saying, when you stop speaking of God, God speaks as you. That is the heart of this teaching. That is the silence that remains. The journey was never about becoming spiritual. It was about remembering you were spirit all along. When the I melts into silence, only love remains. Subscribe for the next awakening, and share this light with someone ready to remember.